Hockey Night Hangout, presented by Chevrolet.
Today on Hockey Night Hangout, a story of perseverance. Unwanted and undrafted.
Brody with room, over to Giordano, loads up, scores! Oh, a howitzer from Giordano!
Giordano overcame the odds, signing with the Calgary Flames after a tryout in 2004. 2 years later, he joined Calgary in the NHL.
Brody jumps up on the rush for the Flames, flips the puck to Camilleri, back to Giordano, scores! Off the post and in!
Today, he captains the Flames. Giordano, the epitome of performance.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hello everyone and welcome to Hockey Night Hangout. I'm your host, Andi Petrillo, and thank you to everyone who sent in questions to our special guest, Mark Giordano. And just to remind you of how you can send in your questions, well, you can do so on Twitter and through Facebook as well. It's at Hockey Night or at AndyPHNIC. Use hashtag Hockey Night, and through Facebook, it's Facebook/Hockey Night in Canada. And yes, it is the captain of the Flames, Mark Giordano, who's joining us. No secret, it's been a tough season for the Flames, but they have picked up 8 wins in the month of March so far. Big wins as well, 7-2 over Anaheim, and then there was an 8-1 victory over Edmonton. And Giordano right now, second in points on the team, 9th amongst defensemen with goals scored in the league. And Mark, to some people, that's not a surprise who know you, because 2 seasons you were leading in scoring amongst defensemen when with the Owen Sound attack of the OHL. Are you sure you weren't meant to be a forward?
No, I've always had that part of my game. I think I took a lot of pride in it when I was younger, and obviously when I made the jump to pro, it's a little bit more difficult to put up the numbers, but I think this year has gone well for sure, and it's always nice scoring goals and contributing offensively for sure.
So I know we briefly talked, but the great thing about this show is, of course, fans get to send in their questions to you. So I want to get to their questions right away, because there's some good ones here. Eugene McGargle wants to know, since you're Italian-Canadian, did you start out playing soccer rather than hockey?
No, that's a good question, but no, a lot of my buddies did, but I actually was more of a baseball guy, and really took interest in baseball as a young guy, and played pretty much until I was around the age of 13, 14. So I was never a soccer player at all.
And ball hockey, because that's where I first met you.
Yeah,
Were you playing ball hockey? Did you have to make a decision then, playing baseball? Was there ever a decision of continue baseball, continue hockey?
Yeah, there was, but for me, there wasn't much of a decision. I really loved the game, obviously, of hockey, and it was just tough to have to give up baseball. I didn't want to, but I knew as you get older and it gets, it becomes almost a full year-round thing. I knew I was going to have to give it up at that point.
So another question that comes on in from Nolan Steen. Speaking of your childhood here, we know you played baseball rather than soccer, but who was also your favorite player growing up?
Oh, for sure, Wendell Clark was probably my number one growing up, and then, close second, Dougie Gilmour, when the Leafs were having those good years and those runs to the semifinals. For sure, those were two of my favorites.
Yeah, now a reminder to fans too, of course, you're from the Toronto area, so I guess it would make sense that you idolize some Toronto Maple Leafs players. Thomas Mason wants to know, why the number 5?
You know what? It was pretty simple. I came to camp one year. I was wearing number 46, and sort of made the team out of camp. And Daryl Sutter called down, and I remember him saying to our trainer, make sure Gio changes his number. This isn't football. So I didn't have too many choices. I wore 7 a lot and 10 a lot when I was younger, but they were both taken. So 5 was available, and I really liked the number, so I just took it.
So Liam Hounsell wants to know, what does it take to become an NHL hockey player? And especially when it comes to you, your path wasn't exactly the easiest. So maybe let's just talk about you. What did it take for you to become an NHL hockey player?
Oh, I think the first thing is, obviously everyone's going to say, but it's the truth, is hard work. I think you have to really dedicate yourself to the sport and work hard year-round. But you have to also be lucky and be in the right spot at the right time. So a lot of things have to come together. There's a lot of great players who never get the chance to play, but I was lucky. I found myself in a good situation here in Calgary and got a great opportunity.
But there's tough decisions along the way, because a lot of people obviously make reference to you deciding to go to Russia before coming back here and then seeing yourself soar in the NHL. So there are still some tough decisions along the way.
Yeah, I think you really have to believe in yourself, and there's sometimes you have to make bold moves and stand up for yourself. And I think a few times in my career I did that, and it worked out. So for sure, you're right with that, for sure.
So next question is from Jeff O'Barnes. As the captain, what responsibilities do you take on to motivate the younger guys? And what do you tell them going into games when you're playing against powerhouse teams like a St. Louis or an Anaheim?
Yeah, I think my main job is to try and lead by example. I think the best captains who've ever played are guys who, they bring it on the ice, and if you usually when you're playing well and you're performing on the ice, it's easier for guys to follow and look up to you. But as far as our young guys, we have a great group of young guys here who all have bought in and work really hard. But in big games, and especially against powerhouse teams, the main thing is to still play your game and try and play with as much confidence as possible. I think when I was young, I'd get a little bit nervous in those big games, and if you let those nerves come into play, sometimes they affect the way you handle the puck or make plays. So you have to try and just play with a lot of confidence, and that's probably the hardest thing to do in the NHL.
How about when the going gets tough? I mean, do you ever take a moment to sit and talk with a lot of the younger guys as well? Do they need that kind of motivation too?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you can tell right away when guys are fighting the puck or gripping their stick a little bit too tight. So, the main thing is you just have to tell them to, take a step back and take a deep breath and just relax and play. I mean, if you worry about making mistakes, usually you're going to make them. So there's no sense worrying about it. And I think that's the best advice for young guys, is just to play their game and play like they have nothing to lose.
Well, you guys are playing like you have nothing to lose right now, which is why there's some success we're seeing down the stretch. So the next question ties into that. This is a very honest person. So this is from Andy, and he says, I'm not a Flames fan, so he's honest. But he goes to say, I'm very impressed with the team's work ethic. Do you think it will carry through to next season?
Yeah, I believe so. I think a lot of what we're doing right now down the stretch is we're doing it to carry over into next season. But we've had that hard work ethic the whole season, and guys have been great. They've bought in, and it's never been a question. And now we're actually scoring a lot of goals lately, and getting bounces. So the wins are coming, and it's been really nice to see down the stretch here.
So we've been talking about your hockey skills. Apparently you've got some good acting skills as well. So the next question is from Thomas Bobbin. Do you attribute your Norris-type season to all the ATB commercials you've done in the past couple years?
Absolutely. 100%.
Nice. Those are fun. Now, tell me, is that fun to do when you get to show a bit of a lighter side of yourself?
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. I really, was going into it blind. I didn't know what to expect, and I can't believe all the moving parts that have to go into, setting up just a 15-second commercial. So that was an eye-opener for me, and it's a real tough gig, and I gain a lot of respect for, people like yourself who have to sit behind a camera and remember lines and all stuff like that. It's definitely really tough.
But I wish I could do what you did. We just showed the one where you knocked over the green guy. See, I wish I could hit people too sometimes, right? Especially when I'm beside PJ and Glenn.
Oh, I'm sure you can try.
I could.
Yeah, for sure.
I just need you guys to back me up and make sure I don't get in trouble for it. Yeah. Next question. If you could give out an MVP on your team, who would you give it to?
That's a great question. I'd probably have to, if I were to give one out at this point, I'd probably have to go with a guy like Yuri Hudler's been great all year. I think he's been, a guy who's been a catalyst for our offense. But if I'm looking at an all-around game sort of thing, and an underrated guy who flies under the radar, I really like the way Lance Boma plays and the way he sacrifices his body every night for our team. So I know I'm not giving you a one guy answer, but those two guys for me have been, different types of players, but very effective in both their roles.
Yeah, at the end of a game, all you have to do is look at Boma's block shots, and definitely you'll understand what you're saying about him right there. Well, who's the best prankster in the locker room?
Oh, we have a couple, but it goes to for us. It goes to Brian McGrattan. He's always fooling around with guys' equipment and putting water cups under our helmets and stuff like that. So it's you're always on high alert when he's around, and he's definitely the #1 guy. And he's been getting it back lately, so it's been nice to see.
Yeah, why am I not surprised you said him? All right, so this question is kind of along the lines when we were talking about you embracing this captain role. What's it like being the captain of a young team that has players coming and going from the AHL?
It's actually been really a lot of fun this year. It really has, because you see the young guys come in, and none of them have egos. They all work hard. They buy in, and they sort of look up to us older guys, which is kind of nice to be in that role for probably the first time in my career for sure. And then we've been playing well. We haven't had too many games all year where we've been out of them. We've had a lot of 1-goal games, and they've been a lot of fun to play in. So it's been a fun year for sure.
So a few more questions, and Dylan Patterson wants to know, what will it take for your team to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I mean, it's for any team to win the Cup, obviously you have to get the right pieces in place, and I think we're a long ways away, but we're going in the right direction. I think this year was a nice step for our team, and we're not happy, obviously, not making playoffs, but we'll keep building, and hopefully, we keep going in the right direction and get there. But it's a lot of things have to go right for your team to win the Cup, and we know that, but we feel like we've taken a big step this year.
So we alluded to your time just briefly in Russia, so Sam Big wants to carry that theme on and wants to know, what was it like to live in Russia?
Well, it was the hockey part of it was great. I really enjoyed playing there, and the players and the skill was right up there. But it was the difficult part was the language barrier, and just trying to get around and go to the grocery store and do your normal day-to-day things. It was a little bit tougher, but no, I have no complaints. I had a fun time there, a good year. I lived just outside Moscow, so it was a huge city and a lot to do, a lot of nice restaurants and all that stuff. So the biggest issue was obviously not speaking Russian and trying to get your day-to-day activities done. But other than that, I had a pretty good time.
See, when I was in Russia for the Olympics, that's the first thing I did. I said, tell me where the good restaurants are and tell me what your good food is. I actually loved the food.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
If you find the right spots, it's actually really nice. And again, I was going out a lot in the city in Moscow and finding restaurants down there, which is really nice. Real expensive, but really nice.
Yeah, if you want to find the Italians, just go straight to the restaurants. And finally, Mike Donaldson wants to know, how do you think your team will fare against Eberle's in the thrilling finale?
I think I'm hoping, but I think we'll pull ahead here at the end for sure.
Nice. Well, that 8-1 victory was pretty sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how did you guys feel after that?
Well, I mean, we felt pretty good about our game. We stuck with our game plan, and we had a pretty dominating game. But anytime you beat a team like that, it's just we had a good game against Anaheim, and the next time you play them, it's going to be that much harder. So we'll be ready the next time we face Edmonton here for sure.
Level-headed, love it. Mark Giordano, captain of the Calgary Flames. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Hockey Night Hangout.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And thanks to everyone who sent in their questions. A reminder, next time we have a special guest here is how you can send in your questions through Twitter at Hockey Night, at Andi PHNIC. Use hashtag Hockey Night and Facebook/Hockey Night in Canada. We'll see you next time.
Chevrolet. Find new roads.